Hello students, morning. So welcome again in our class. Now today we are going to discuss the most fascinating part of the plant. You know that when we look at the plant, which is the part that attracts us most? Yes, it is the flower. So flower is the most fascinating part of the plant. So to us it is the most fascinating part. For flower, what is the significance? For that plant, what is the significance? Actually, the flower is the part where from the plants reproduce. That means it can produce its own new organism of its own kind. Clear? So flower is very important for the plant as it helps in reproduction of the plant, forming a new plant of its own kind. So let us see some pictures of flower. So here you can see one of the most common flower which are acquainted. We are acquainted with this. This is the rose. So we all know that rose is very attractive flower, clear, and all we like its color, its smell, all are very attractive to us. So we can see here the flowers have fascinating colors. Last flower we have seen red, clear, it is now mauve to violet, and with long petals, very attractive manner it is displaying itself. So this is another one. You can see each one has its own character. It is not that all are same. Each one has this own character. Somewhere the petals are united, somewhere the petals are separated. Clear? Each one has its own color. So there is various variety of, we can find various structures, clear colors in these flowers. You can see here a group of lily, clear. The petals you can see here are separated. Sepals are not very prominent, clear, and you can see the stamens are coming out. Very significant stamens it has. Here is another most fascinating flower, that is the flower of orchids. Clear? We know that orchid is a very rare plant with very attractive and fascinating display of flower. You can see here another orchid, clear. So see how the petals are, clear, they are not same. They have different types of petals with different designs. So attractive it is. It is also an orchid. You can see an attractive orchid flower. Here you can see tuft of very small flowers, but here the color is not so attractive. Clear, it has white colors. So there are various, it is not that always they have attractive colors like red, yellow, blue, green, blue, but it has some, many flowers are there which are white in color and lots of fragrance are there. So we have seen various types of flowers, clear. Now we will discuss the parts of a flower, clear. So we will discuss the parts of a typical flower. You can see here the flower is borne on a stalk, clear. So there is a stalk which actually holds the flower and attaches the flower with the main plant, clear. Then just above the stalk you can see here the stalk is broad here. When here it is, the stalk is very fine stalk, clear, but here the stalk is broadened enough, and this is called thalamus. Now from this thalamus various parts of the flowers comes out. You can see here this is one of the part called hole. These are called holes. So various holes of flower comes from our present on the thalamus. So this is one of the hole, this is another hole, this is another hole, and this is another hole. So these are the holes which are present on this base. Clear? So base of the flower is flat. The stalk, when moves upward, it becomes flat and holds all the holes of the flower. Now let us come to the first hole. The first hole is, you can see, this is green. These are called the sepals. So first hole, you can see these are the green and called sepals. Next are the colorful holes. Clear? Which may be of varied colors. It may be red, yellow, white, pink. Clear? Yellow, orange, blue. So these are called petals. Next to petals, you can see here this long with a round or somewhat elongated top. This is called stamen. So this long structure with elongated top, with bulbous top, this is called stamen. And so this is another stamen. So there may be numerous stamen. Clear? And at the center you can find the basal, round basal structure, ball-like structure with a long elongated tube at the top and with a somewhat flat at the topmost region. This is called carpel or pistil. Clear? So this is called carpel or pistil. Now you see these two. So this is the sepals, these are the petals, this is the stamen, and finally at the center this is the carpel or pistil. Now we will come individually to each part. Before that, you see these two, that is sepals and petals. These are the holes which are present in flower, but now already we have said that flower is the reproductive part of the plant. Clear? So flower is the, what is flower? Flower is the reproductive. It represents the reproductive part of the plant. But these sepal and petal, they are not directly associated with reproduction. They have other functions related to reproduction. Clear? So they are the non-reproductive whole of the flower. And these stamens and pistils, they contain the reproductive parts. So they are the reproductive whole. So if you are asked which are the non-reproductive whole of the flower, then it will be the sepals and petals. They are there in the flower, but they have separate functions which is associated with reproduction. But they are not directly involved in carrying the reproductive parts or directly involved in reproduction. But these stamens and pistils are the parts which actually carry the reproductive parts, and they are actually the reproductive wholes of the flower. Clear? Now another question is that, do all the flower bears all the reproductive wholes? No. It is not that all the flowers will bear the stamens as well as pistil. Pistil is the female reproductive part of the flower, and stamens are the male reproductive part of the flower. Clear? So female reproductive flower is the pistil, and male reproductive part is the stamen. Now sometimes it happens that flower may bear only pistil. Clear? So that is will the female flower. Or flower may bear only stamens, no pistils. So that will be the male flowers. Now when this flower bears both the stamens and pistil, we call it bisexual flower. So what are bisexual flower? Bi means two. Clear? So it is having both. That means one the stamen and second the pistil. So it is having two reproductive wholes. Then it is called bisexual. That is male and female. Both are there. But when suppose it is having only pistil or only stamen, So only one is there. So both the male and female is not there. So we call it uni. Uni means one. So we call it unisexual flowers. So what is unisexual flower? Uni means one. So when the flower bears only one reproductive hold, like either stamens or pistil, then we call them as unisexual flowers. Clear? So bisexual flowers and unisexual flowers. Now, so let us discuss the each and every part. First of all, the sepals. Sepals you can see when you can see the sepals very prominently when the flower is in bud. You have seen the flower buds, no? The flower bud contains the sepals. There contains the sepals which actually cover the flowers. When the flowers are in bud condition, sepals actually covers the flowers. So sepals are for protection of the flower. And since it is green, it can perform photosynthesis. So it also helps in photosynthesis. It protects the major part of the flower which actually involved in reproduction. Clear? So these are the functions of the sepals. Now sepals may be, it is not that always the sepals are like this. Sepals may be united or it may be separated. You can see here in brinjal, clear? In hibiscus, you will see this type of sepals. That means the sepals are united. Clear? Numerous sepals, 5 or 6 sepals are united to form one. But in tomato, in rose, you will find this kind of sepals where the sepals are separated. Clear? So sepals may be united or sepals may be separated. Clear? So what about the sepals? So it is the first part of the flower. It protects the flower. It is very prominent in the bud condition. It protects the flower. Since it is green, it can also perform photosynthesis, and sepals may be, numerous sepals may remain united, clear, as in hibiscus, brinjal, etc., or they may be separated as in tomato, rose, etc. So this is about the sepals. Next is the petals. Now let us come to petals. Now petals are the most attractive part of the flower. Now when we see hibiscus, what we call it is red in color or it is yellow in color. Which part implies this red? The petals. So the most attractive, most prominent part of the flowers are the petals. Whether it is a large flower or it is a small flower, petals are the most attractive part of the flower, and it has various colors, numerous designs, such a variety of lovely flowers we see. These are mainly the variation of the petals. So we have already seen here how fascinating the petals are. Clear? So how fascinating these petals are. You can see here, this is how fascinating these petals are. So petals have various forms, various size, various colors, and that gives a distinct appearance to the flower. So you can see here also how fascinating these petals are. So they have various forms, colors, clear, which give distinct characteristics to the flower. Now, why petals are so attractive? Why they have so many colors? What purpose is served when these petals are so attractive and so variations are there? Obviously, petals are so attractive, they have so much variation, which helps in, first of all, attracting the insects. Clear? So they helps in attracting the insects. Now, how petals helps in attracting the insect? These colors, these huge numerous colors of the petals, the insect, as we get attracted, the insect also gets attracted by these petals. Now why we need insects? because we know that these stamens will release pollens, the male reproductive parts, which will be transferred to the pistil for reproduction, and that is called pollination, which is done by insects or various agents. So insects are to be attracted for pollination, that means transfer of pollen from this male part to the female plant, and so petals helps in transfer of male part to the female part, so it is helping reproduction. Clear? Now sometimes the base of the petals contains nectar, that also attract the insects. Base of the petals contains nectar, various glands. Clear? That also attract the insect. Now insect comes in search of nectar, and during this they transfer the pollens. Clear? And sometimes you find various glands present at the base of the petals, which provides various fragrance. That means you can find numerous sweet smell of the flowers. That also attracts the insect and others and helps in transfer of pollen. So petals have attractive part. Generally, clear, this attractive color of the petals is for pollination, that means to attract the insects or other agents which will help in transfer the pollen. So pollination is one of the major function which is done by petals, and it helps in pollination, and it also protects the flower when it is in the put, because the most vital part here, which are the vital part? These are the male part and the female part, because if there is no male or female part, then there will be no reproduction. So this is the most vital part, and these vital parts are also protected by petals. So petals helps in pollination as well as it protects the vital parts of the flower. So what we have done? We have done the stalk of the flower, which attaches the flower with the main plant. We have done the base of the flower, which is flat, which holds all the floral parts. Next, we have done the floral parts like sepals, petals, stamens, and pistil. But we have discussed in detail the sepals and petals. Sepals are green. They are very prominent in bud condition. They cover the flower in bud condition, so protect the internal parts as well as perform photosynthesis. Their sepals and these petals are brightly colored. Clear? They have often various shapes, and these attract the insects and other agents which helps in transfer of pollen, that is the pollination. Clear? And petals also protect the internal organs of the flower. Clear? The internal major organs of the flower. Now, like that of the sepals, petals also may be united or free. Can you name some flower with united petals? Name some flower with united petals like datura. Clear? But free petals like hibiscus, rose, all these are flowers with the free petals. Clear? So petals may be united and in datura, and petals may be free like in rose, hibiscus, etc. So today all this, now we can see, and I am sending another video for dissection of the flower. You can see here how the flower gets dissected. Clear? In my next class, and we will also do the main reproductive hole in my next class. So next class we will discuss these reproductive holes, clear, which helps in reproduction, and also the dissection, how the parts of the flowers are separated from each. Okay, thank you.